Multnomah County's first sheriff was appointed in 1854 by the Oregon Territorial Government. Our 31st sheriff was just appointed in 1982 as the director of the Division of Public Safety, director for one of our better-known yesterday sheriffs, Martin T. Pratt's swearing-in ceremony was recorded in December of 1931. Martin T. Pratt served as sheriff until 1949. An early showpiece of Multnomah County was the Multnomah County Farm near Troutdale, Oregon, the present site of the county correctional facility. The farm was famous for its farm produce and dairy products, much of which was utilized to feed patients at both the county hospital and the residents of the farm. Much of the farm labor was performed by inmates at Kelly Butte and subsequently Rocky Butte Jail. The farm's demise came in the late 50s on the heels of severe restrictions placed on inmate or prison labor while incarcerated by various judicial and legislative bodies. The central building remained in use as the county's rest home in 1981. A crop of potatoes to be proud of. The kitchen staff was renowned for setting fine tables. The on-site cannery stockpiled farm produce for later use and some surplus sales to the public. A real proud gardener with his beautiful flower beds. In 1939, as now, Multnomah County had outgrown its existing Kelly Butte Jail and began construction under the Roosevelt administration WPA project on a new jail at Rocky Butte. After starting the work in 1939 under the WPA project number 3481, clearing the land for the site of the county jail to be erected at Rocky Butte. A crew of local talent who had been out of work during the Depression years and had some schooling by one or two experienced local stonemasons had become quite efficient chiselers, you know that kind. The original plan called for one large building under one roof with modern conveniences and readily accessible. This project, however, was classed as one unit by the WPA in Washington, D.C., and the cost ran well over $200,000. The WPA sent out word that they could not assist the county with the project unless units valued under a maximum of $50,000 each were considered. The plans therefore had to be revised. This was done, and in 1940 the foundation for one building was started in November. Construction, as you'll note by the film, is of natural stone taken from the Rocky Butte quarry. Sometime in the spring of 1941, a second building was started in order to scatter out the stone cutters. As particles of the stone fly in all directions, and 2 cannot work in close proximity unless a partition is placed between them. Work continued through 1941 and up until July of 1942, when the WPA was officially terminated. From that time, construction work was carried on by using day labor, supervised by the engineers of the road department and A.J. Dreyer, an architect for Multnomah County. By 1945, the main buildings and wings were complete. Many road improvements were in progress during these years. Much of this labor was performed by inmates under the County Road Department's supervision. It is said that the first center striping of roadways in the United States took place here in Multnomah County at the suggestion of Captain Pete Rexford of the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office in an effort to reduce head-on collisions occurring on the narrow roads of the county. Considerable construction occurred elsewhere on Rocky Butte. As the Rocky Butte quarry was developed to build Rocky Butte Jail, various WPA and county projects were constructed from this native rock. On Rocky Butte itself, the road tunnels and crest viewing areas were completed. The view then as now is very spectacular from the top of Rocky Butte. In East Multnomah County, the Larch Mountain viewing area and parking lots were also completed. These areas are open to public view, weather permitting. Larch Mountain itself in 1981 received over 20 foot of snow. In 1963, then Sheriff Don Clark formed the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office Emergency Search and Rescue E-Squad. The mission of the E-Squad was to form the department's nucleus for any emergency might arise, such as war, natural disaster, major accidents, search and rescue, or civil disturbance. Training took place at various facilities throughout the county: David Douglas High School, Kelly Butte Rock Quarry, Rocky Butte Rock Quarry, the Multnomah County Kennel Club with the U.S. Army riot teams from Fort Lewis participating in our training. Helicopter training at Kelly Butte with the 41st Army Aviation Company. Mountain rescue and rope work at the Rocky Butte Quarry. Underwater body recovery and search at the David Douglas High Schools. Three, the crack riot control teams from Fort Lewis, Washington, participated in a division training exercise at the Multnomah Kennel Club in East Multnomah County. While this training was very beneficial at the time, Multnomah County has not been called upon to use it. The U.S. Army's crack riot suppression team from Fort Lewis, Washington demonstrated many ways to control civil disobedient crowds. This, a tear gas pepper fogger, capable of controlling large areas. The E-Squad evolved to today's search and rescue unit that works closely with the various agencies and other associations to respond to such emergency situations that arrive. Some of the cooperating groups are United States Coast Guard Air Station in Astoria, the 41st Army Aviation Company, the National Guard Oregon, the 304th Aerospace Rescue and Recovery Squadron, Portland, Oregon, Explorer Post 900, Moresco, the Mountain Rescue and Safety Council of Oregon. Prior to 1960, the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office operated a river patrol only during certain weekends during summer months. This patrol consisted of the use of a leased boat, a 14-foot boat, and a 16-foot boat. The latter boats were equipped with outboard motors. The boats were used in search and rescue operations, drownings, and during floods. The patrol then amounted to what was primarily a safety and search and rescue patrol and did little marine law enforcement, there being few laws for the river patrol to enforce. During the spring of 1960, the Multnomah County River Patrol was formed, though slowly. 4 deputies were sent on a week-long U.S. Coast Guard boating school. During the ensuing summer and weekends and holidays, 2 of these deputies worked on a river patrol boat. One boat was a 19-foot Starcraft aluminum boat. Both craft were powered by outboard motors. From the time of its inception to the present, the River Patrol has operated year-round. While there is now a permanent River Patrol, the section's membership has increased and decreased with demand. This means generally that the force is nearly doubled during the summer months. The boating season generally covers the periods from May to early September. In 1961, the River Patrol obtained a 50-foot houseboat from which to house the patrol boat. The houseboat was moored at the county boat ramp at 42nd and Marine Drive, where it remains to this day. Today's River Patrol consists of 2 permanent facilities, one on the Willamette River and the original one at 42nd and Marine Drive, which now includes a fine base operation on shore. We operate at the present time 7 boats, 4 of which have been named after Indians of the Multnomah County area. The number 1 boat, the Cobaway, the number 2, the Comcomly, the Casino, and last, the Tommy Thompson. In addition to these 4 fine boats, we also operate a barge, a jet sled for search and rescue on the Sandy River, and we have a specialist boat we use for special duties on the river. One of the officers writing the citations in this 1966 film is the present Director of Public Safety, Director Fred Peirce. In March of 1966, 2 brothers, one a recent graduate of the United States Army Fixed-Wing School, rented a Cessna 150 at Troutdale, Oregon, to explore the nearby Columbia River Gorge. While flying in a rugged area south of Multnomah Falls, the aircraft struck trees over 100 feet tall. The aircraft lost forward motion and plunged straight down the trunk of one of these trees, impacting in 4 feet of snow.
Lance, how do you feel? Pretty cold up there last night?
It was a little cold, yeah.
Were you the pilot of the plane?
We were both pilots. He flew a while and I was flying a while.
I see. What did you do the first night?
I just stayed in there and tried to sleep.
You stayed close to the airplane?
I was in it, right.
You were in it?
Right.
What time did the rescuers get to you last night?
I think it was 7.
I see. How do you feel aside from the foot?
I feel real good.
Do you plan to do any more flying in the near future?
soon as I get well.
Good luck to you. That's enough.
After the successful rescue of the injured man, Captain Gottlieb of the Air National Guard flew the cameraman to the remote crash site. Observe carefully and you may catch a brief glimpse of the destroyed red and white aircraft at the base of a large fir tree. The terrain in this area is renowned as the roughest in the state of Oregon. The temperature on the night that co-pilot Jensen remained in the aircraft with our search crew was well below freezing, with over 4 foot of snow on the ground. Not all of our searches occur in such fine visibility weather and end with such a happy ending.
Can you describe briefly what time you got to the crash site last night and what happened then?
Exact time I don't remember. However, it was dark when we got there, and found the plane down in the trees. And when the survivor, he was up there.
Jensen, was he pretty glad to see you?
He seemed to be pretty happy to see somebody.
Did he have anything to say as to how the crash occurred?
Oh, he stated they lost power and the tail of the plane hit a tree and nosed them over, and they came straight down.
How long did his brother, Kenneth, who I understand was a pilot, how long did he stay at the site before he left for help?
About 15 minutes, and he headed down the trail.
Can you describe the trip? You had to pack him some 3 miles north of the crash site in order for the helicopters to pick him up this morning. Can you tell us when you began this trek and how long it took you to get there?
Oh, we left the crash site about 4:15
this morning.
And then we got up to the helipad about 7:45.
Pretty rugged country?
Real rough.
Major Goyens, what was the circumstances surrounding the actual pinpointing of the crash yesterday?
Well, we got Mr. Jensen, the boy that walked out, we took him up there, and he showed us the general area. And we still couldn't find the airplane. We brought him back and kept circling, and then eventually, by following tracks with the helicopter, it led us fairly close, and we finally found them.
Okay. You're a pilot yourself, sir. How would you describe the results of this crash and the fact that both men got out? Are they extremely lucky to be alive?
Extremely, extremely. What I can see of the airplane, there isn't anything left of it except small pieces. It went in trees, well, I don't know, from there, it looked like 150 feet high. It fell down through them. They're extremely lucky.
So a search which began in earnest Monday morning has come to its conclusion. Kenneth and Lance Jensen have been found safe, and they were described by rescuers as being very, very lucky individuals. They probably agree. Ted Groves reporting from Multnomah Falls.
Multnomah County was one of the first law enforcement agencies to utilize motorcycles for patrol. Then as now, motor officers are noted for the ability to respond quickly through traffic to emergency calls. The next time you talk with a Multnomah County deputy, note his uniform shoulder patches on his uniform. The winged motorcycle wheel was selected with the early adoption of motor patrol to indicate timely responses to police calls. No complete record of motorcycles used by Multnomah County has been located. However, 3 types have been identified in early division pictures: Hendersons, Indians, and the venerable Harley-Davidson. The more numerous Harley-Davidsons being the sole type utilized until 1980, when we, like other law enforcement throughout the United States, began to purchase the Kawasaki. In the 1930s, the division maintained high visibility by participating in many parades and public functions and special events, some as far away as the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada. Some of the early division innovations for motor officers were helmets for motor officers. First, two-way radio communications on motorcycle patrol. White uniforms in 1937 to increase the motorist visibility of our traffic enforcement officers. Many presidential escorts were provided. Beginning in the 30s, we also began to operate fleets of automobiles with the motorcycles. Some of the antique buffs would love some of these.
You know, an iron horse like this has to be in tip-top shape because on its performance depends the lives of 23 men and its riders. Now, Henry Krebs of New York City asked for it, and he writes, Ripley's Believe It or Not states that a deputy sheriff up in Portland, Oregon named Bob Dillon can hurdle 23 men with his motorcycle. Well, seeing is believing, so I'm asking to see this sheriff on your show. Thank you, and it's signed Henry Krebs. Well, Mr. Krebs, Ripley's daredevil deputy was captured on film by our You Asked For It cameras. So let's watch him whiz into action. You asked for it.
This is all part of the warm-up. No hands, but plenty of balance required. He's driving it from up there, too. 3 steps. Now, need I remind you, don't try this at home with your bicycles. Think how much practice time was spent at this. Here is Pat, his riding partner. Now, that's not just ordinary balancing. There, no hands on the handlebars. It's a double balance. Shoulder-to-shoulder balance. That's balancing the man as well as the motorcycle. Isn't that something? And he must also concentrate on steering the cycle. Not exactly the conventional way of dismounting. Remarkable, I'd say. Well, now here comes something that you mentioned in your letter. So, Henry, I want you to watch closely. Now, notice something here. You can see the ramp where it comes in. I think they're trying to crowd close to it, not too far away. I don't blame them at all. And there's about 10, 12, 14, well, you count them yourself. Down, fellas, and you better stay down. Just in case an ambulance. All right, measure it off. Get steady. Give it speed. Here comes Dillon. Here he comes. Now watch it in slow motion. Watch the spring action when he lands. Here he goes. Way over. Yes, our congratulations go to the sheriff of Multnomah County, Oregon, for having men like Bob Dillon in his motor posse. And thanks to you, Henry Krebs, we've witnessed some death-defying motorcycle thrills. You asked for it.